like water flowing in the river. You know what? Life is never going to turn out the way you thought it would. At the end of the day, not me, not you, not any of us have any control in this beautiful life that we live in. And that's not so much of a bad thing. What is in control of this universe is love. So we can put our complete faith and trust into that love. But we're so silly because instead of doing that, all of us as a civilization have spent the past thousands and thousands of years putting our trust in fear, thinking that fear is what's going to keep us safe, thinking that we need to make sure that we fight against everything that the universe tries to put in front of us. And fighting is just another way to describe complaining, and not in a mean way. Like, I don't mean to be non-empathetic. Like, trust me, I understand how easy it is to get really sucked in by the mind's desire to loathe and to complain and to feel like everything is wrong. You know, it can be so comfortable to be in that place. It's so comfortable that, like, when we want to start actually experiencing life in a way that is pleasurable, we sabotage it because we're not used to it and we're so used to suffering. And what I've come to see is that the suffering is created by us. It's created by the mind. Okay, we won't say it's us. It's not all us, it's the mind. But it's created by our mind. That's why even in all ancient psychological methodologies and things, they talk about how it's not the situation that creates suffering, but it's the way we react or respond to the suffering. This is also something that is described in Buddhism, where they talk about how every time we go through a situation in life, we're always being hit by two arrows. And that first arrow is that really tough thing that happened to us, that challenging situation. But then the second arrow is the one that hurts even more, because it's like that arrow is getting hit right in that same spot as the first one. But that arrow is the way we respond to that situation. It's the stories that we create about what happened. And essentially, it's when we start to victimize ourselves and start to feel helpless and like, oh my gosh, this thing is happening to me. And then we start fighting it. And because we're fighting it and we're resisting it, then we're starting to feel really anxious. And essentially, if we zoom out and look at everything that's happening, it's like life just is. And everything that happens just is as it is. But then we come in and we start to create these prison cells around us by first assuming that that thing that's happening is really wrong. And then we start to resist it. And then we put ourselves in a state of fear. And then we kind of like freeze and not move forward and never get to find out our true potential. So then we just go through life finding things as comfort. I don't want to I feel like I'm going to spiral. But I guess what I'm seeing now is that we create all of our own suffering, and we will continue to keep creating all of our own suffering, and we'll continue to suffer until we realize that this time we can choose to respond differently to the things that happen to us in our life, the things that happen for us in our life. And isn't it crazy? Like, we actually have a choice. A few years ago, I started to feel this really strong call, like this really strong nudge to let go of a lot of the things that were really important to me in my life. But I guess I was relying on these things in order to make me happy. And so of course I fought so hard to not let go, because I was like, no, what do you mean? I felt like the universe was trying to take these things away from me and trying to take my paddle boats, and I was like, what do you mean? No, you can't take that. I fought for years and years and years, just holding on really tight to things that I knew I needed to let go of, Anyway, eventually, when I feel like I couldn't hold on anymore, I finally let go. And when I let go, so essentially I moved to another city by myself. And when I was there, I realized that okay, I was given an opportunity to be able to see who I really am beneath all of the layers that I've placed on top of like my pain. Because essentially, if we want to come to the truth of who we really are, we do need to face that pain that we have been covering with all these comforts like people, substances, any type of safety or coping, like relationships, friendships, anything that you turn to when you start to feel a certain way. When we start to feel discomfort, we don't even realize that we're doing this, but almost automatically we will reach for something to try and feel that pain. We might reach for our phone. We might reach for a cuddle from our boyfriend or girlfriend. You know, we might reach for a snack. Like, we just reach for something. We might go to the gym and make gym one of those things. We might overwork. The thing is, if we resist that temptation to stay in the comfort zone and we actually acknowledge what it is that is coming up within us that we're trying to hide, we start to experience this freedom, because you realize that there is nothing that we actually need to keep ourselves safe from. Even that feeling within the body, that discomfort or pain or whatever it be, what it actually needs is our own acceptance and love. It needs us to acknowledge and recognize it. And that's enough for it to transform. And then that makes you realize that you never need anything, because all you ever need is your own acceptance. So if we go back to like what I was talking about at the start of this video, which I know was like 50 topics ago, but like this just shows us that all we really need to do in life is to just stop resisting everything and just accept and allow. Stop fighting against the circumstances that are presented to us in our present moment, to stop feeling like we need to create a story around the things that happen, to be kind of like complaining or putting a negative light on things, or worrying or doubting or acting like we're confused, if that makes sense. Instead, if we just allow every single moment to be as it is, and to appreciate the fact that like no two moments are ever the same. So even if what you're currently presented with is extremely uncomfortable, it's temporary, because there is nothing in this life that is permanent. And the thing is, like, even our suffering is a blessing, because we'll just continue experiencing suffering after suffering until we realize that, okay, just because a circumstance is presented to me in my current awareness, I don't need to actually suffer. I can experience that experience without creating stories with my mind about how this is wrong and I shouldn't be here and I shouldn't be experiencing this right now. Once we refrain from doing that and just allow everything to be as it is, we will actually start to glide through life a lot easier. And I feel like this is how life was intended for us to live. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we were supposed to live life fighting all the time and just resisting everything that's in front of us, you know? And the thing is, it's not really us that's doing that anyway. Like, oh, hold up, sorry. It's like my Arab cup. It's like what every grandpa has. But anyway, I guess what I was trying to say is like, it's not really us anyway. It's the mind that is fighting against everything that is. And the mind is doing that because it thinks that it needs to keep us safe. It thinks that it needs to keep us in a place of comfort and familiarity and, you know, no surprises and, you know, just, it sounds kind of like boring to me, but you know what I mean? Like, that's just like the mind is doing what it thinks it needs to do. So it's kind of cute, like its intentions are good. We're not going to get mad at the mind. But still, it's not us though. We're beyond the mind. And so every time we resist the mind's urges to complain and to reject the present moment and to say that it's wrong, we come back to the truth of who we are, who is beyond the mind and who is actually pretty content with whatever is going on because it knows that nothing can touch it. At the end of the day, all of these experiences, no matter how challenging, they're not touching the truth of who we are. Of course, we still experience the discomfort and the pain, and it's tough. But it's still not touching the truth of who we are, because the truth of who we are is pure awareness.